Hey guys, 11E10 here and welcome back to some more Diablo 3 Necromancer beta. And it's been a couple of days. I think it's been about a week since I did a Necromancer video, but honestly I kind of reached the end of my tether playing it a lot on beta and I kind of wanted to take a break. I still haven't investigated the blood set, but I wanted to just update you guys on the patch notes that came out a couple days ago. So it's been a small patch. Nothing too crazy involved, but it has impacted some of the builds. And hopefully there'll be a bigger patch coming next week. I don't know. So a couple of things before we get into the patch notes. They did release the new Necromancer cinematics, one for female, one for male. They're pretty much both the same, different voices obviously. You can check them out on the Blizzard YouTube. I'll link them in the chat in the description. I recently got access to the forums, so I've had more ability to understand what's going on in the wider sense of things, what the general population think, what the meta is. I found out a few things about some of the skills that I didn't know, so hopefully if I say anything that's kind of incorrect, you can let me know in the comments. I did notice that some of the most popular builds are actually broken right now. The leaderboards, the leaderboard showing the highest grade of rift is actually using a bugged skill or a bugged passive, which I believe is Rathma's Shield. There's some kind of buggy interaction with that. I don't really know how it works, but I know that that particular passive needs to be changed. So if you're seeing the leaderboards full of those kind of builds, they're not really legitimate right now, and most likely will be changed. So getting into the patch notes, the first thing they changed was Blood Spear, which is a rune of Bone Spear. Where's Bone Spear? So Blood Spear was changed from 518% to 650% for 10% health, and the base rune was changed from 450% damage to 500% damage to all enemies it passes through. This is one of the main pieces of the Pestilence set, which the consensus being that it's kind of out of place in this set here. Maybe the name of the set needs to be changed, but Bone Spear being the main focus of this set, some people think it's a little bit out of character for this. I don't know, probably. Bone Spear seems like you should be using your poison skills. Bone Spear seems to be a bone skill obviously, so maybe it's just not suited to that build. We'll see if they ever change it out of there. Bone Spirit is another one they changed. They changed the interaction with Charm, so it now charms for 10 seconds. I think it's this one here, Possession. Now charms for 10 seconds at 5% health instead of 10% health. So that's a nice change. I don't think it was very commonly used rune, so. They also fixed a bug with Bone Spirit so that if you cast it in melee range, it actually will hit. And I experienced that bug in a previous video. When I was fighting a Greater Rift boss, I cast it and just went around him in circles and never actually hit him. So that was a nice fix there. Command Golem, and this is a direct buff to the build I'm going to show you a little bit later in the video. The cooldown was reduced from 60 seconds to 45 seconds. And they updated Ice Golem. So it now targets a location and freezes the enemies in that location rather than jumping to them. So I think that's actually better. Getting your golem out of position can be fatal in higher grifts if you want him standing in front of you. Having him jump away from you is not ideal. Corpse Explosion, which I've finally started experimenting with, and it's actually quite fun. Final Embrace rune was changed. It now says corpse pull themselves towards the nearest enemy and they explode at 2% life instead of 3% life per corpse. That's another buff to the health using type builds. Corpse Lance itself was also changed. Blood Lance, they reduced the actual cost for this as well, so from 5% down to 2% health. That's an indirect buff to the set that I just showed you, the Pestilence set, because you can now more reliably use the Blood rune for Corpse Lance for the auto Corpse Lances, and it's not going to kill you quite so quickly. 2% is a huge buff over 5%. Next on the list for changes was Decrepify. and they changed the base rune, so it now reduces speed by 75% and damage has been buffed to 30% reduction instead of 20% reduction for 30 seconds. Wither was also changed from 40%, or rather from 30% up to 40%, but no longer reduces movement speed. Leech was changed to base rune. It will now give them a chance to heal you for 2% of their health. Now, this is a thing where I want to kind of question the patch notes. The description in the actual game says cursed enemies heal the attacker, which implies that they always heal every time they hit you, or they heal the attacker for 2%. Whereas the patch notes say cursed enemies have a chance to heal the attacker when they are struck for 2% of their health. So, what is it? Do they heal you, or do they have a chance to heal you? I don't know what that is. If it's a chance, what's the proc rate? If it's an absolute, then why right they have a chance to heal? I think they got to clarify that. Certainly not written in the game as it is in the patch notes. The other part of this leech skill was changed. That was changed was Cursed Ground. So it now heals you for 1% of your maximum life every second for each enemy in the cursed area, up from 0.5. I think they might need to change this again. Depending on the builds that it's going to be used in, you might need an even higher buff than that. 0.5 was obviously paltry. 1% is better, but maybe not good enough still. And Simulacrum, huge change here. It's been reduced from 50% cost of life to 25% cost. So that'll allow you to use it more often and in a safer way. Certainly 50% health made it impossible to use for hardcore characters. You may not even consider it anyway, given that it's such a high cost, but at 50%, never. 25%, then maybe. So those are the changes to the skills. Moving into the passives, Rigor Mortis was changed, and again, the patch notes aren't in sync with what's in the game. It says Blight ability slow enemies by 30% and reduce their attack speed now by 30% instead of 15%. It's still listed as Blight in the patch notes, but it's poison abilities in the game. Poison is a much more clear description. When I seen Blight in the patch note, or rather in the passive description before, I wasn't sure what that meant, whether it was every skill that had a poison rune or just poison skills. Still don't know. So poison abilities is much more clear. Now they did make a change to one of the sets, and this is the only set they changed, which was the Bones of Rathmas set, which is the one that does, which is basically the pet set. So the damage reduction now is, looks like they haven't actually updated it in the game. It says on the patch notes 1% damage reduction for 15 seconds each time you pets deal damage, max 50 stacks. But it says in the game that it's for 5 seconds. So again, could be a tooltip issue. Maybe it's a change they didn't mean to make. Again, obviously it's beta, so there could be some mistakes here and there. But their intention, at least in the patch notes, is to change it to 15 seconds. This item only dropped for me a few minutes ago, so it's not an old version. Let me just check the other Rathmas. It's 5 seconds still in game. So I wonder if we test that, if it'll say 5 seconds or 15. And still max 50 stacks. The set bonus, however, has been changed in game. So their inconsistencies here are quite frustrating. The 6 set bonus says 250% damage increase by your minions for each skeletal mage active, up from 200%. So I don't know, guys, you really got to get on top of your patch notes here. You're changing one thing, not changing the other. Come on, it's a beta, but still, I'd expect you to get it right. They fixed some bugs. Bloodsong Male was changed, so it was previously preventing the Enforcer rune when Land of the Dead was active. Okay, so basically they were only getting 4 out of 5 runes. And they also fixed a problem with Crispin Sentence, which is the 100% increased damage against slowed enemies ring. It was preventing damage bonuses to apply to pets, so that's good, and that's part of why it's in the build I'll be looking at now in a minute. And some other small things. Quality of life. Golems now will actually destroy items they walk over. Not that impactful for Greater Rifts, but it can help clear the way if you're stuck behind items and want to get past some mobs. So there are the patch notes as of June 1st. Hopefully there'll be another patch coming out on the 8th or the 9th. The one thing that I was hoping for was some bracers. There's still no Necromancer specific bracers available, and I think that's really impacting some of the builds. Having to use some of the older bracers is kind of annoying. I'd love to have some kind of synergy with a Necromancer skill. Maybe they're going to come out with a Necromancer specific bracer. I don't know, there's been some talk on the forums about that. But Blizzard haven't really been posting a lot on the forums. So, and there's a kind of feeling that the Necromancer is close to release. Again, rumors said Season 11. Season 11's a lot closer now than it was a month ago. And I don't know, the Necromancer's in a state that isn't really stellar. I think Greater Rift 75 is kind of doable, but not easy. And the folks that want to be hitting those leaderboards are really looking to get the Necromancer in a better place. There's definitely a lot of problems with Necromancer, but I kind of want to focus on the builds for now. I'm not really that qualified to go over the numbers game, so I'll leave that to the more qualified folks. But moving into some other pieces. The build that I'm going to show you now is actually just cleared Greater Rift 60 a little bit earlier tonight, and it's the Legacy of Nightmares build again. I've updated it from the last video, so this is like the third revision, and I've had some increased luck in getting ancient items. So what it is basically is I've abandoned the whole Frailty aura and Devour aura. It took me a long time to get away from those skills because I really love them. But what I've gone with is a pet build. Land of the Dead really suffers from lack of cooldown reduction, so I would like to get some kind of item synergy that gets this cooldown quicker, because it's a huge DPS increase for this build, but we'll go over it real quick. So starting off, we're using Bone Spikes and Pillars, Poison variant, because we want our poison stacks. Corpse Lance with Ricochet, again, Poison variant. Command Golem Physical, that's for the stun specifically for CC. Dark Mending, the rune I use with Command Skeletons is debatable. I find that I need some health a lot. Frenzy's okay, Dark Mending's okay, Enforcer's okay. Really, change it if you need more health. Right now I need more health. I've currently got 1,600,000 and it's not enough at Greater Rift 62. So, Land of the Dead, again, Poison variant. I'm tempted to switch to this, but again, the explanation of this rune confuses me. I don't know if you get a maximum of 12 seconds, or if you can get 2 seconds per 10 enemies. So if you kill 20 enemies, you get 4 seconds. I still don't understand it, so hopefully they'll make it clearer. Decrepify then is required for damage reduction, and again, chance to stun, so more CC. We'll get into why I need CC, apart from the obvious reasons. Swift Harvesting is just for attack speed on my Bone Spikes. Commander of the Dead for Command Skeleton's Golem, reduce the cooldown. Life from Death needs spawn health globes, again survivability, and Blood is power. I'm using this specifically for Land of the Dead because I need it cooled down as quickly as possible. Again, if they had some better passives to help with cooldowns, I would use them. But for now, we're stuck with this. Items-wise, this is where the real powerhouse stuff comes in because it's Legacy of Nightmares. And again, if you're not familiar with Legacy of Nightmares, if you have only one item set bonus, which is this ring plus this ring, you get 100% increased damage for every ancient item you're using, and reduced damage by 4% for each ancient item you're using. And I'm currently using, I believe, 11 out of 13. So we have Corpse Whisper Pauldrons, which is synergizing with our right-click Corpse Lance. We have Moribund Gauntlets, which is synergizing with our Golem, so he drops a corpse every second, which you can use for Corpse Lance. We have Nair's Black Death, again, with your poison stacking abilities, you can bump up. It's a bad roll, it is ancient, but it's only 50%. So if you have a better main hand, or a better two-hander, put this in your cube. But that'll stack you up to 200%. I've got Brenner's Journey for Bone Spikes. I'm only using this because I have it. I'd probably use something else if I didn't have a synergized skill like Ice Climbers, but I like to have the synergy. So an extra Bone Nova is good damage. Golem Skin Breaches. This again is partly for synergy with the Golem, of course, and damage reduction that I get while it's alive. So a poor roll, 107% versus 125, but it is ancient, and I get the 30% damage reduction. I got Dainty's Binding, which again I got ancient. Additional 45% damage reduction when you have a Decrepify up. So there we go with Decrepify synergy. On top of this 30%, you're looking at good damage reduction, but still not enough. So I went for even more damage reduction a little bit later on, we'll see that. Bloodsong Mail, again an ancient version. While in Land of the Dead, skeletons gain all runes and deal extra damage. Very poor roll, it's 100%, it could have been 125, but again it's ancient, so I'm going to use it for now. Leoric's Crown, I just switched in because I didn't have a good Necromancer helm to use right now. I didn't want to use Army of the Dead helmet. I was trying the Revive helmet, but Revive's not very good in this particular build. Especially this particular rune where it consumes all corpses to raise a minion. You're left then with a low count of corpses for your Corpse Lance, so I got rid of Revive. So Leoric's Crown, I wanted to double the effect of my Life Gem, again for more survivability. We got the Johnston, again not ancient, but 200% damage to your Corpse Lance while outside Land of the Dead. I can get this up to about 45-50 stacks if I'm lucky, if I pop it at the right time. So then you're getting an additional boost of damage when you finish Land of the Dead. It's a good mid-rift buff to your damage. You're going to be using Land of the Dead quite often. Ideally you want to keep Land of the Dead or have it ready for cooldown for your Rift boss. The last Rift boss I fought was Rift 62. I did run out of the time because I had died to something silly. But I melted the 62 grade Rift boss in about 3 seconds with Land of the Dead up and Corpse Lance plus cooldown and all this stuff. So this is really powerful for the middle of the Rift, and you probably will want to have Land of the Dead ready for the Greater Rift boss. But if not, you'll get at least some value out of it because your Golem is dropping corpses. Crown's Buff Bracers, again I love these because they're immune to knockback and stun, but it is one of the only good ancient bracers that I have. You could of course go with Nemesis or something like that if you're farming, switch into Nemesis. But for Greater Rifts this is good to help you survive. Obviously the Wailing Host and the Litany of the Undaunted. The gems I'm using is Pain Enhancer, Enforcer, and Bane of the Trapped. Pain Enhancer, I have quite a high critical chance, and in this current setup, which is not ideal, I'd like to have maybe a better cube item. I've gone for Envious Blade just to get crit chance against enemies at full health. I know this isn't ideal, but it's working for me right now. So with a 28%, what is it, 20% crit chance, I should have a better crit chance than that. I'll maybe switch this out now at that point. Aquila Cuirass, however, is one of the other things. Above 90% primary resource, all damage reduced by 50%. So we're looking at a toughness of 123 million here. This 50% plus this 30% plus this additional 45 when you pop Decrepify, which is in addition to the 70 to the 30% that you get from the actual curse itself. You're getting a lot of damage reduction, but again, it's still not enough. We need better damage reduction for Necromancers. And then Crispin Sentence, which is 100% damage against slowed enemies, triple against enemies afflicted by any other type of control impairing effect, i.e. Golem Stun, Decrepify Stun. So that's the extras. So I'll show you my Greater Rift 60, and I'll also show you the Greater Rift 62 boss fight. Like I said, I did die to something stupid. The shock towers in, I believe it's Pandemonium Fortress level 3. The shock towers one-shot me. Like, literally just zapped me to death instantly. So that was kind of annoying, and that happened to me 3 times in the same rift. So basically that killed any chance of beating the timer. I was over the timer by, I think, about 2 minutes at the end of the day. But I recorded the killing of the Greater Rift boss just to show you the damage that you can do. But anyway, coupled with the patch notes and the updates to this build, hopefully you've got some good information here. Again, bear in mind it is beta. everything can and probably will change. Just another quick note, they did reveal Malthael for Heroes of the Storm. I'm not quite sure when it's going to be up on the PTR, but expect a video with his skills and a demo of how he works once he is on the PTR. So again, guys, thanks for watching. Enjoy the Rift, and I'll see you guys next time.